What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here and being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this holy mess. Hey, honest beauties, listen. Whenever it comes to talking about Larry Reid of the Larry Reid Live YouTube channel, which I call Larry Reid Lies, it vexes something about me, so I don't talk about him often, but he utterly disgusts me. But he's not the only one, because these people who scam in the name of the Lord and do what they do, and they really truly are out here having the confidence having the confidence to say that God told them this and God said that, or some of them, like he says, Spirit told me, and all this other stuff. God didn't tell you anything. And they just have so much confidence to come out here and continuously do these things where it's nothing but a big grift. I will never understand it. I won't ever want to understand it, because I don't want to understand it where it's like, oh, it makes sense to me. No, it will never make sense to me. So I don't want to understand it. So for him to have the confidence, and people like him and Bishop Bernard Jordan and others to have the confidence to be out here scamming in the name of Jesus is it's just something that bothers me a lot, especially when it comes to African American people, because we already, as a whole, as a collective, are struggling financially. So for any one of these people to rise to a level and then, financially, and live a certain way in life, and then say that you were blessed, it is nothing but bullshit. Okay? You were not blessed. It had nothing to do with God, but it had everything to do with you having the confidence to con people. You're a con artist. You're not a prophet. You're a profit, because you make profits off of people, but it will never last for a very long time. Okay? So it's been reported, and this has been shared with me, and I just, oh my God, I'm just getting around to talking about it. I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible, because like I said, I don't really like talking about him a whole lot. I just can't do it. He is so dark and sinister. And so the man that he linked up with, that he called his mentor, that called himself the master prophet. I didn't even see the term master prophet in the Bible anywhere. So you mean to tell me in this day and age, God has created a master prophet? Is crazy, crazy work. But he has severed ties with this man that he linked up with, and I feel like rolls off of, and they rolls off of each other, rolled each other's coattails, and may have rolled some other things. I don't know. But definitely around the time of the pandemic. All right. Because he was doing these YouTube videos with Bishop Bernard Jordan. And because the pandemic was a time that all of us who are alive right now never really went through anything like we went through during those times, it was a time of uncertainty. So, pretty much everyone wanted to know what's next, what's going on. So you can see, you know, here, all these different images. Him on his YouTube channel, Bishop Bernard Jordan, The Church and the Pandemic. Part, was that 16 or 18? They were doing all these videos. The Church and the Pandemic, part 20. I mean, Bishop Bernard Jordan, prophecy about year 2024. Bishop Jordan and the men of the first family of prophecy. Yeah. Who's this? That's his son. What in the world? Is that a woman or a man? Child, let me go back. Get off of this. What is that? Yeah. Prophetic update. Prophet Manasseh Jordan prophesied this in 117:23. Look at this clown. Larry Reid. Bishop Bernard Jordan, I assume. Is him. Power of Prophecy. Pre-show. Prophetic update. Larry Reid, Archbishop E. Bernard Jordan. Emergency prophetic update. Look, they got the bank picture up there. Prophetic insight. Total eclipse. Child, all all these things that he was doing with this dude, and now you're severing ties. So I just wanted to share some of those thumbnails, some of those images with you guys because, yeah, apparently now he is no longer dealing with Bishop Bernard Jordan. He is no longer his master prophet. He is no longer his mentor. Now he's, I guess, off to do his own thing. I don't know. But I'm going to share a little bit of this with you guys. I'm not going to share the video, but I'm going to share some of the audio. And hell, I don't want to look at him either. So I don't think you want to look at him. So we'll just listen to some of the audio and we'll see what he had to say. Let me pause for a moment there. And I'll put the full video link in the description box if you want to look at him. I don't advise it because I'm having a hard time seeing this dude right now. But how is it that allegedly a man that does not own any real property here in the United States is making investments in the country of Ghana? It doesn't make sense to me at all. It doesn't. So I don't even believe that. And I'm not even one of those people that likes to look at people's YouTube views and try to assume how much money they're making per month. That's not what I do. But how is it that he can afford to give tens of thousands of dollars a month? I don't know what else he does besides the grift of Patreon and his so-called fake online ministry and YouTube and I guess other social media, Facebook and TikTok. But how much money are you making per month to give away tens of thousands of dollars a month? I don't even believe that. And every time I see this dude, and I have said this before, so this is not the first time I've said this, he reminds me of the cult leader Jim Jones. You remember that? Well, it was before my time, but I've seen many, many, many documentaries about Jim Jones and the Jonestown massacre and the cult that he had, the People's Temple, and how he took all those people over to Guyana and South Africa. And he always wore those dark shades, those dark glasses. Larry Reid reminds me of Jim Jones. And now to hear that this dude is going over to another country, child, there's a lot of, or I don't even say a lot, but there's a number of silly women that follow him, allegedly giving him money. Don't you go over to another country with this dude, because you might not make it back. I'm just saying, learn from history, okay? Because the people who went over to what they call Jonestown, which was in Guyana, South Africa, not South America. It's not South Africa, South America. A lot of those people, most of them were black, and a lot of them did not make it back. Don't you go over to Ghana or wherever else he's trying to leave. Allegedly, he's trying to flee some allegations and lawsuits and other stuff like that. Don't you go over to another country and follow this clown with these dark glasses on. Prophetic calling. By who? Ooh, he looks bad. I never thought he looked good, but mm, lies. God didn't tell you to stop dealing with somebody. You're a liar. So did God tell you to stop dealing with Tasha K? Listen, this is the thing with this dude. All of these people where it's like he had this very public connection. I wouldn't even call it a connection. I feel like connections are long lasting and they're meaningful and impactful and they're for purpose and meaning, and there will forever be a connection even if you're not always communicating. An attachment, I see attachments more like with a vacuum cleaner, where you have the attachments you put on and you take off, and you may never use some of those attachments, but it's just to be used for what it's to be used for. Larry Reid has attachments. He does not have true, genuine connections, because I feel like the ones that are still attached to him, they're attached to him because it benefits them financially. I don't believe he has any real, true, genuine relationships. You don't even know because you're not a prophet. Nigga, go ahead and curse. All this shit. Just say that don't mean shit because you are a piece of shit, in my personal opinion. So for him to act like him using words that are considered to be cuss words is a sin, but yet you could ram your foul, filthy dick up a young boy's ass allegedly and have the nerve to lie and say that you never knew that person, and then you were exposed on Tasha K, where Levante Andrews was interviewed by Tasha K. She has the proof that you reached out to Levante Andrews and apologized, and then because you wanted to shut him up and shut him down, you had him serve with a lawsuit when you knew he was not going to be around to be able to accept it, which I still don't even understand how he got a default judgment. And even if he got a default judgment, because a default judgment is when the person does not respond. I believe his mother got the papers and was served that way, but he was not able to respond in time. But he should have been able to request a rescission for that default judgment because he was not in the country at the time. Maybe he just didn't feel that it was worth it to even respond to it. I don't know. And maybe he's just one of those people that feels like, you know what? I don't know when it's going to happen, but God's got a day and a time for this nigga, and it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. I'm not even going to fool up with the courts because this is Larry's MO to do stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and let him have his default judgment. Maybe that's what he thought. I don't know. But for him to continuously use these words that are supposed to sound like cuss words, profanity, but they're not, just either say the word or shut the hell up. Yeah, you definitely are out of your mind. Definitely. All right. Let's continue. Listen, any of you all listening to this, don't you send that nigga no money. Somebody asking him, what is your cash at? And you're not seeing the video, but I'm seeing it on here. It's some picture of it, looks like an old lady on Facebook. First name Corinne. I ain't gonna go into the full name. What is your cash app this? Why are y'all giving us full money? Anyway, Yeah, I mean, and apparently you have been living reckless and foul all your life, like all your life, screwing people that were in your congregation when you had a church, and then to be out here and you want to be exposing other people. You don't want people talking about you, but yet you use your platform to expose other people in the church world, in the Christian world, and that's okay. But then when people come out here to say, yeah, he did this to me, he did that to me, you don't want these people to talk about it. And then you call them liars, they're haters, they're this, they're that, they're the other. And you're doing some reckless, foul shit. You're disgusting. So yeah, you weren't just a rebel when you were young. You're an old rebel right now who's trying to fight those gray hairs coming through that scalp and looking sickly, in my personal opinion. Listen, this is a long-winded nigga. The clips that I've heard about him talking about his family is full of pastors and prophets and musicians. But then he was saying that they were all screwing each other, and the smell that he always, the aroma that he just has so consistently in his nostrils was the smell of another man's crotch. Okay, the smell of another man's sack, the smell of another man's scrotum. I wouldn't say your family was full of pastors and prophets and musicians. More like it was full of pedos. It's disgusting. But he is so long winded. Jesus. Manasseh is the guy who is the son of Bernard Jordan, and that's the one from the end of 2023 through whatever time last year. He was coming out here, meaning Larry was coming out here doing those videos talking about how TD Jakes was allegedly grooming Manasseh Jordan, and Manasseh Jordan is about to file a lawsuit, and this and that and the other. None of that, and it never seemed came to fruition. And now we know TD Jakes has this lawsuit going on where he's suing the man that this clown had on his platform to say TD Jakes made a pass at him many, many years ago, tried to kiss him, attempted to kiss him, and called him on the phone one night while TD Jakes was soaking in a bubble bath. And he got visuals of TD Jakes hot and sweaty in the bathtub with his leg kicked over the side of the tub, possibly stroking his thighs and his dangalang while he was making some, we'll say, we'll say some requests of him whenever he's in town. That's what Dwayne Youngblood alleged on this clown's platform. So now TD Jakes is suing Dwayne Youngblood and has listed 10 co-conspirators, and I believe this is one of them. So for him to say to Manasseh Jordan, hey, if something happens between me and your dad, will we still be friends? And he says, "Oh, of course we'll still be friends. I mean, that has nothing to do with me. That's my dad. Like, that has nothing to do with me." I let's continue. Yeah, it's because I believe you're a gay man, and you, even though are still out here living a lie, you didn't want to continue to be married to that woman because somehow that was conflicting with the gay lifestyle that you wanted to live behind the scenes. And it was probably financially beneficial for you to go ahead and divorce her. So don't say that you held on to it too long and God was telling you to divorce that woman, because you're a liar. In my personal opinion, I do not believe that. Okay. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't. This nigga is so long-winded, but let me tell you, him saying that, he's saying that because he, for whatever crazy reasons, has women mainly, maybe a few gay men that give him money. So he's making that statement to say, everything I gave from my heart. I would never ask for it back, because he knows that he will eventually lose some people, and he doesn't want anybody reaching out to him saying, "Yeah, I gave you X amount of dollars. I want my money back." Because you're a fake, you're a liar, you're a false prophet, and I don't want to be associated with you anymore, and all those seeds that I sown, I want my seeds back, because you're foul, filthy, terrible ground. Mhm. me say something real quick. And you all who've been on this channel with me for a minute, you already know how I feel about voting for that orange clown 45/47. And I definitely did not vote for him. But even though I didn't vote for him and I didn't want him to win, I understand that there are people who voted for him for different reasons. And it's really nobody's business who voted for who. So for him, of all people, to talk about, well, I'm a prophet. I know who you voted for. Well, if you're a prophet, then you would have known he was going to vote for him anyway. So you would have severed ties from him before the election even took place. So he's full of shit. Okay. Because I mean, really, he had the right to vote for whoever he wanted to vote for. But if you claim you're a prophet, then you should have already known that that's who he was going to vote for in the first place. Okay. Yeah, after the fact, you know he voted for Trump. The lies you tell, you do some foul shit, and then people sever ties with you. So if you want to call that falling out with you, no, they sever ties with you. As much as he tried to make Tasha K look like a liar and say, oh, well, you know, she's a documented liar. She is one that has been proven to be a liar in the court of law, whatever. What you were trying to do was use a situation that didn't have anything to do with you to just try to make her out to be like everything that she is presenting out there is a lie, even that which is something that has something to do with you being an alleged pedophile and doing the stuff that you did with Levantry Andrews. But you ain't call Levantry Andrews a liar, did you? You called Tasha K a liar when all she did was interview this gentleman and show receipts of communication that you had with him where you reached out to him to apologize, but then you wanted to shut him up using the courts. Okay. So just using that as one example. If you want to call people learning who you are and deciding that they don't want to have anything to do with you anymore and them severing ties as them falling out with you and you not falling out with them, okay, then maybe it's the way you want to spin it. You got to be kidding me. This nigga talking about how you should treat people in your life depending on how they respond to your birthday. Listen, once you over the age of 21, maybe who freaking cares? As long as you are living, you are going to have a birthday every year. We got enough stuff going on in our lives to be reaching out to everybody in our lives that we know to make sure we wish them a happy birthday and we acknowledge them on their birthday or honor them for their birthday in some way, monetarily or whatever, with a gift or whatnot. So, him saying you should evaluate who's in your life depending on how they respond to your birthday. Where is that in the Bible? And I'm not saying everything you do in your life should be based on the Bible, but This is the nigga that talk about he's paper Bible saved. Where is that in the Bible to say the people that you have in your life, you should make sure they're honoring your birthday. If they are not honoring your birthday, then they should not be dealing with you in the next months throughout the remainder of the year. Get out of here with that BS. Oh my God. Listen, guys, and I'm listening to this for the first time as I am sharing this audio with you. He said that first he said God told him, and then he's saying, well, that was a sign for me because I didn't hear from him around the time of my birthday. So that was a sign for me to go ahead and sever ties. Which is it? Did it? Oh my God, this is so stupid. Well, listen, he said he ain't telling everything, but I didn't play everything. I didn't even listen to everything. I fast forwarded through a lot of this. This video alone is 2.5 hours long. And this portion right here was at the very end. He is so long-winded. Can you imagine if you were listening to the entirety of this to find out, okay, what happened between him and Bishop Jordan as to why they're no longer a master prophet and mentee or mentor and mentee or whatever? So I feel that Larry Reid is finished in terms of, I mean, it may not be immediate, but this guy is, in my personal opinion, a con artist. But he has the confidence to get out here and con people because he knows that the people that he's conning really don't have a lot of emotional intelligence, let alone just regular intelligence. And if these people actually literally read their Bibles, they would like steer clear of him because he is so ungodly. And two, they if they knew the stuff that he has done, they wouldn't want to have anything to do with him. But the people who follow him, like really follow him, they remind me of those die-hard people who follow 45/47, where all they do is watch and listen to Fox News. Because those people who all they do is listen to that, they never hear the truth. Because all Fox News does is lie. It's not news, it's propaganda. Larry Reid is propaganda. So the people who die hard are followers of his and listen to him, and they don't listen to anyone else who is actually out here telling the truth. They won't ever get the truth unless something tragic or diabolical happens to him where he's completely taken out. Because even with Fox News, they were literally declared as liars. They admitted that they lied and they settled. They didn't get a judgment against them like Tasha K. Tasha K didn't admit any wrongdoing. There was no settlement. The bankruptcy filing was to protect her business and to be able to move forward and figure out a way of making the payments on that judgment. But she never said, I lied. Anyway, I'm just saying that to say the difference. Fox News actually settled out of court and admitted that they lied. And they settled on less than $1 billion. I think it was like 780 $100 million to pay Dominion voting machines, whatever the name of the company was. But anyway, I digress. Those people still listen to Fox News because that's all they know. And Fox News tells them this is fair and balanced. You don't need to watch and listen to anyone else because we give it to you raw and real here. And all they do is lie. Those people who listen to Larry Reid, all they do is listen to him. They don't listen to anyone else who is speaking the truth about Larry Reid. So it is a cult. It's crazy, but there are millions of cults out there, guys. It doesn't have to be a person who is behind a pulpit in a church or a so-called church and creates some sort of religion that is just far out there, like the what was that? Well, we already know about Jonestown. That's just one example. Remember the one where the guy, Marshall Applewhite, and his wife, and it was a few other people, they were in a house, and the comet, they said the comet was coming to get them. And so they all took their lives. The men, they castrated themselves. They all had on like jogging suits and sneakers and took their lives. And the people found them in some house somewhere off the grid or whatever, and all they did was it was a cult. That was just like another one example. But Larry Reid, he really isn't a whole lot different than this con artist here. I'll share my screen. I don't even know if this guy's still living, but if you've watched BET, you have definitely seen this commercial.
Do you need a miracle? Real people with real needs are receiving real life-changing miracles.
Look at all these Black people with this con artist right here.
They use the miracle spring water.
My husband brought the spring water up and I drank it. And I'm speaking today. I had no speech, totally paralyzed, and now I'm testifying.
You had sent me the water and I used it. You told me I was going to get a check for $7,000. Sure enough, I got a check in the mail. It was exactly $7,000.
Ciao.
This faith tool will help you to see liberation from the bondage of debt. It's free. I want to send it to you. No obligation. Call me now.
And when you told me to anoint
the call me now, who does that remind you of? Cleo? The so-called psychic? May she rest in peace, because I believe she passed away years ago.
My checkbook yesterday, I received a letter for over $45,000 that my second mortgage was paid off.
Get the spring water, drink the spring water, or whatever you need to do with it. It really works.
Release your faith now.
She said, or whatever you need to do with it. What else would you do with the spring water? I don't know. And I don't know if I would drink anything that comes out of these little packets, especially coming from this guy. But yeah, because I think some of those people say they got it and sprinkled it on their bills.
Now, by calling for your free packet of Miracle Spring Water. It's free, just for calling. Do you need a...
Listen, these people giving their testimonies about getting these checks in the mail and all the other stuff that happened, had their second mortgage paid off and whatnot. Black people are constantly in a space of struggle as a whole. And then you have a president who isn't putting things in place to make life harder for us when our predecessors fought for rights that a lot of them didn't even live to be able to benefit from. And it's foul. It's cruel. So to have somebody like Larry Reid and Bishop Jordan who've been out here scamming on Black people so that they can live this cushy lifestyle, driving Cullinans and Bentleys and all these other cars that I've never seen in my real life and don't even care to see. I don't need to see. What's freaking wrong with a BMW? Why do these people have to drive cars that cost $500,000? That's just one vehicle. Then they have a fleet of them. They live in these massive homes, and it might just be one or two of them or whatever. And you have the people who are giving them all of this money so that their lifestyle can be propped up, so that they could sell them hopes and dreams. Hopefully one day it'll work out for me. Is asinine. It's crazy. So to see him coming out here and then out of one side of his mouth saying God told him to sever ties with master prophet, bishop, Bernard Jordan. He is no longer your mentor. Now you are the master. Okay. And then out of the other side of his mouth, he's saying, well, when my birthday came around, I didn't hear from him. And you should always reflect on how someone responds to you around the time of your birthday as to how you're going to have them in your life for that year moving forward. That's crazy. This is what I personally believe. I believe it's a multitude of things. It's not just one thing, but we know that Larry Reid had Bishop Bernard Jordan's son's name and possibly some other things in his mouth a lot last year, talking about how he has been groomed by TD Jakes and he's about to file a lawsuit. And they're saying someone from Bishop TD Jakes' ministry reached out to him and offered him a certain amount of money and all of the different things that they were saying was going on. And then here several months ago, Bishop TD Jakes had a health scare and filed lawsuit against someone that Larry Reid had on his platform that accused TD Jakes of some things that happened in the past, which in my personal opinion, and I'm not here defending TD Jakes as if I'm a fan of his or follower, because I'm not, but I don't believe anything that guy said TD Jakes did warranted, one, a crazy demand for $6 million, let alone any money, believing because he made you feel uncomfortable years ago. He didn't do anything to you. He did not even kiss you. You said he attempted to. He didn't touch you. Claimed that he called you to say, whenever I come to town, I want you to be the only one that I have sex with so that I don't bring anything back to my wife. I'm not saying those things did not happen, but I'm saying, where is that something that you, one, should be demanding any money for? And if Bishop T.D. Jakes was just an old country bumpkin preacher that was looking like a walrus, that did not have the fame and the notoriety and the money, and he did that to you many years ago, and he was still just a country bumpkin pastor to this day, would you have reached out to him to say, look, you made me feel uncomfortable back in the 80s, so now I want $6 million? It's crazy. So I believe that Bishop Bernard Jordan has backed away from Larry Reid. But Larry Reid is one of those people, I believe, that likes to come out to let people know as to why he's not attached with these people anymore. And he's always making it out to be he is the one in the right as to why he is no longer attached to these people. That's my personal opinion. I believe Bishop Bernard Jordan has distanced himself from Larry Reid, not the other way around. But that's my personal opinion. I don't believe it has anything to do with Bishop Bernard Jordan voting for 45/47, him going to the White House and being in the council of Paula White, who's another fraud. But anyway, I don't believe that. I just don't. But I want to know what you guys think. So you let me know your thoughts in the comments and let's get into it. Because this ain't nothing but a holy mess.
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.